Today, I want to talk to you about why it's so incredibly important that you let yourself feel. And what I mean by that is to feel the good, the bad, the in between, everything in the human spectrum of emotions. I'm going to share with you in this video why not feeling it deprives you of being human, of being fully alive. Hi, my name is Martin, and I made it my purpose to share with you here on YouTube the learnings, the experiences I've made throughout my life with the hope to inspire you that you actually take charge of your own life, that you are going into the driver's seat of your life and live it with purpose and being absolutely and fully alive. Today's topic is really about emotions. And it's so interesting. Like, emotions is one of those things that we humans very often do not want to feel. We are ignoring it. We are like, oh, I don't want to feel this. I don't want to feel that. Or other people tell us how we should or how we shouldn't feel. I mean, what the fuck? Like, the thing is, we as human beings, it is one of the biggest things that makes us human is our capacity of the emotions that we can feel. The capacity of like empathy, of anger, of every possible emotion that you can think of. It makes us us. It makes us who we are. But we live in kind of like a toxic environment, in a toxic society where feeling emotion is very often equated as like being weak or being like a victim, like in victim mentality. But there's a huge, huge, huge difference between being in a victim mentality and being emotional. Like, being in a victim mentality, yeah, it's not it's not good because it prevents you from moving forward and from actually changing something in your life. But victim mentality is where whatever happens, you are like, it's more like self-pity. We're like, oh, why is it always me? Nothing is ever going to change. Who am I to create the life that I want? You go more into like the outside circumstances and coming up with all different reasons why you cannot move on, why you cannot change, why everything is the way it is, and why it will never change. But that is not the way to live. I mean, I've been there multiple times in my life where I was just in that self-pity victim mode. Did it help me? Absolutely not. Well, in hindsight, maybe yes, because now when I work with clients, I can easily see it. I can support people to change from victim mentality to becoming a victor in their lives. But the thing is that personally, on a personal level, in those moments, in those situations, it didn't help me at all, because being in that victim mentality, it didn't get me what I wanted. It didn't get me the career that I wanted, the relationship that I wanted, the vacation that I wanted. It it never got me the result that I desired. Quite the opposite. For a long time, it just kept repeating itself over and over and over and over again. I had that kind of struggle with money for a long time. For a long time, it was so difficult for me to have barely enough. I wasn't able to do many of the things that I would want to do. And it took me a while to change my mindset of being like, okay, stop being that victim. Stop being like, oh, there's always gonna a bill coming in when I make some money, and like I'm gonna save for the bad times, whatever. Like, there's a lot of limiting beliefs that I've kind of not grown up with. Well, to a certain degree, yes, in the environment where I grew up, that was like, that mindset was just different than the people I met later on in life who are more abundant, but not in a negative, like in a way where it's like a capitalistic mindset, where it's just like gaining, like working for financial gain, or using other people for their own benefit in that way. But where it's like money is a transactional tool. It's like, instead of, like, let's say you get value from this video, and of course this is free, but it's like, in with if money is connected, it's like you have to have something that I need, like food or vacation or whatever, so that I can give you what I have. It's kind of like a transactional thing. Back in the day, it was pretty much the same. Someone had milk, someone else needed meat or cheese or whatever, and they changed. So it was like an exchange. Nowadays, it's a little bit easier when it comes to that, because now money is that transactional middleman, where it's like, I don't, like when I work with clients, they don't need to have to offer something that I need so that we can work together. Through the money, I can then go like and get a massage from someone that is not being coached by me. So I had to really reframe my beliefs. And for me, money is just a tool in the end. And I have like a lot of goals, like with charity, with education, where I support people through the money that I attract into my life through the work I'm doing. And when it comes to different areas of our lives, it is so super important that we start looking at our beliefs, because that victim mode belief, when it comes to finances, it affected a lot of my other areas of life. And when it comes to, for example, relationships, there's specific limiting beliefs I have or also had in the past about myself, about other people. And very often I was like, oh, why am I attracting the same people or the same kind of people over and over again? They always leave me. They never love me. They are never committed to me. But I've had a lot of realizations in the past few months since the breakup. And I've really looked at my beliefs and was like, what are my limiting beliefs? And going from victim mode to, I make conscious decisions. I'm going to choose what to focus on, is going to, like, it transformed my life over and over again. And the thing is, it all comes down to emotions. Because if we suppress certain emotions, and very often with victimhood, it's not the suppression of the negativity or the negative emotions, it's the suppression of the positive. It's so many people that I know, me especially in the past included, we are so good at suppressing the positive. We're like, well, I can't focus on the positive because then I would ignore the negative. Well, the opposite is true as well. If we focus on the negative, we are ignoring the positive. Both can exist at the same time. But both exist at the same time. It's a fact. It's the law of polarity. But it's our choice what we focus on. It's kind of like you go out, like you go for dinner at a restaurant, and then they give you two different dishes. One is something you absolutely don't like, and one is something that you love. But you choose the one that you don't like because you're like, well, I have to focus on that because that doesn't taste good. Would you do that? I mean, I assume not. I assume that you would be like, I don't like it. I'm going to go with the one I like. With emotions, it's the same thing. Why would we go to the one that we don't like, that doesn't serve us, if the one that we do want is on the other side? It's right there. And why am I saying that with so much certainty? Because the emotions are being created by us, by ourselves, within us. So they are right there. We don't have to look for love. We don't have to look for fulfillment. It's right there within us because that's where it created. And now I know there's a lot of people might say, well, but if you want to relax, you're going to take a bath. You need a bath to do that. And for the bath, you need money and you need water. And to a certain degree, yes. But other than that, not really, because there's so many different things that can get you what you desire. Because when we desire something or when we want something, it's because we have the hope or the expectation that we feel a specific emotion through that or because of it. It could be relaxation, it could be abundance, it could be like emotional freedom, it could be love or excitement, whatever it is, whatever emotion that we hope to gain from something that we do, it's still being created within our own self, like within our subconscious mind. So it's not about like what can we do on the outside that gives us those emotions, but how can we tap into the emotions that are already there, the potential for those emotions. It's all here in our system, but we have to allow it. And very often we don't allow it and we suppress. The thing is, very often there's like one of the two things that happen. Either we are in victim mode, like, oh, I can't change anything, like my life is not good, and like look at the reality as it is in front of us, and we are focusing so much on it that it affects us in a negative way, and it kind of stops us from even giving it a shot to change something, or we are suppressing it. Suppression is super dangerous because if we suppress it, in the word itself, we have that word pressure. If we suppress something, it creates pressure. So the more you push it down, the more pressure you're going to create. And once you go, like you do that over and over and over again, it leads to depression. And what is kind of like depression? Depression is if you depressurize something, meaning that once you created so much pressure, it has to come out. There must be a release, and then you feel it. I always say there's like two kinds of, and I'm not talking about like the clinical depression where actually like something like the in your brain something is not functioning the way that is it's supposed to. I'm talking about like the depression that comes from suppression, from ignoring, from pushing down. Though that kind of depression, when that comes out, it's either an implosion or an explosion. Explosion is like when physically in the outside people also see it, where you are just emotional, like there's a lot going on, and it's really like physically visible on the outside. I'd say out of those two, it's the healthier one because that way you're at least feeling it. You are feeling it and you are releasing it, which is a prerequisite to healing. Feel it to heal it, so you have to feel it. But it's still like very, very last minute kind of like, or yeah, if you are already in that depression, it's like the last response of your body, which is like poof. The other version is like the implosion, where it's like you are imploding. So there's no or not much emotion visible on the outside, and on the inside, you're becoming quite numb. That happened to me a few years ago, and it was kind of like burnout is very, very similar to that, or pretty much the same, where I had a burnout in 2018 because there were so many things going on from work to relationships and my apartment. I had to move out because there was a water damage. I didn't have an apartment for like 2.5 months. I was just couch surfing every 2 days up to a week. I was like staying at different friends' places on the couch. I always had to carry my stuff with me. Partially, my apartment was just stored in the office next to my desk. It was just terrible. I was like pushing it down in that way. I was so overwhelmed with everything that I imploded. And that showed on the outside. I didn't care anymore. Like I was just numb, no emotions. And I'm a crybaby. I'm like someone who is showing emotions all the freaking time. Like emotions is for me something, I love emotions. I mean, I'm an actor as well. So it's like emotion is something I I'm dealing with all the time, and I've been like dealing with it. I've been it's been part of my life for like 2 or 3 decades. I don't even remember a time where emotion was not part of like my full expression. But at that point in 2018, I started to completely suppress and I became numb and I started day drinking. I didn't care. I was like, if I lose my job, great. I don't care. I didn't really have any kind of fun anymore, like meeting friends, etc. It was just, whatever. And fortunately, I had a great support system. My therapist, friends, family, and they really supported me. And also my team lead at that time. I was very fortunate to have people to support me and guide me through this dark time. And I also had a coach in 2018 for the first time, and it was really a breakthrough for me when he said, darkness is there for you to find the light again. Darkness is there for you to find the light again. And it didn't mean to find it on the outside, but he meant to find it within me because we are the light in our lives. You are the light of your life. If you are in dark times where you feel like you can't see anything anymore, like everything just seems dark, you are the light. But the thing is, it reminds me of something I told a client yesterday. I was like, we can have all those tools, like we can read and watch videos and whatever, but we have to apply what we learn. And the same with kind of like the darkness and the light, because in that example with him, it was like it's kind of like having a flashlight, but if you don't have batteries and you don't turn it on, it's useless. The same with us. We can only become the light if we actually implement what we've learned, the insights that we gain through meditation, through reflection, through journaling, through whatever it is, however your process looks like. It is so important that you're applying it. Whatever your insights are, whatever the tools are that you are learning about, that you're implementing them. Because otherwise, you cannot create that light within you if you're not tapping into your own batteries, like your own energy, your own power. You have to start stepping into your own power for you to be able to make changes and live the life that you want to. And as long as we suppress emotions, as long as we go into that suppression and depression, we cannot see the other spectrum, like the other side of it, where we feel joy and have fun and like experience fulfillment. Both are necessary. We cannot just block out one and hope the other one will just appear. That's not possible. But what we can start with is to look at, am I did I give my power away? Am I making other people or outside circumstances responsible for how I feel? And if so, what can I do right now for me to take responsibility? Because responsibility, it's one of the things that many of us didn't really learn. It was very often like the responsibility very often we learn is to take on the or take responsibility for other people. like be responsible for them, or with the consequences. If you don't do this, then something else will happen. But barely anyone is being taught from an early age on how to take responsibility for your emotions, how you treat yourself, how you show up in your own life. Responsibility for the life that you're creating, for the vision that you're creating, how you spent your day. Like all those things are super important for the reality to shift into something that you want. And that's why it's so important to also listen to your emotions, to say, okay, they're kind of like your internal GPS. Listen to them. See, where are they guiding me right now? Are they guiding me more towards like that victimhood, that suppression, depression? Where's like, does it more go into the negative? Or are they leading me to something positive? Because your emotions dictate what you do. They dictate your actions. And if you are coming from a negative emotion, from a negative internal vibration, then your actions will be filled with negativity. And whatever you do, if you do it in a negative way, law of attraction in physics as well, in science, it's like the action reaction. Whatever you put out there, it's coming back. So if you put out negative energy is going to come back. It like karma in the spiritual world, it's all the same thing. Whatever you put out there, sooner or later it comes back to you. So if you want to change your reality, then you need to start being more focused on how do you feel? What's your internal dialogue? And then make sure that you are taking aligned action, inspired action, because that is gonna then be the energy that you're sending out, and that will come back. But it's a process. It's not gonna happen overnight. It's kind of like a speeding train. You cannot, like when you're on a speeding train, if you want to change directions, you have to first slow down, stop, and then slowly start going the other way. You cannot go like 100 miles per hour this way and then immediately back the other way 100 miles per hour. That will result in a crash. So the same with emotions, with changing our lives. It's like we have to first stop and be like, okay, how am I feeling? Really tuning into yourself, figuring out what are your habits, what are your patterns, what are limiting beliefs, what are the emotions that you're feeling, and then look at where do you want to go, how do you want to feel, how do you want to think. And then you can start implementing changes and step by step then go the other direction. But never ever suppress emotions. There's one exception for that. If it's unsafe for you or someone around you to feel the emotions, then there's a little exercise I do. It takes like a couple seconds, and you can do it with eyes open. So it's like whatever situation you're in, you could use that. And it's kind of like you are imagining that you are in a room, kind of like a storage closet, and there's a shelf. And you are telling your emotion, I acknowledge you, I feel that you're here, but right now it's not the right time for you. I'm going to put you in that box, I'm going to label the box, I'm going to put you in the shelf, and I promise I come back to you later when it's safe. If you do that a couple times, within like a couple seconds, you can actually do that. And then very important that later on you do take back like that box, that mental box that you put in that shelf, that you take it out and that you are experiencing and feeling those emotions and whatever you kind of put to the side earlier on. Because there are situations where it's not safe. Like when you're in a car and there's like tears coming out of your eyes, or you start like feeling emotional where you're like, okay, this is right now, it's risk, like I'm risking my own life and the lives of other people if I let that emotion come out right now. Or whatever other situation, if you're with a child and you have a responsibility for that child, and you cannot ignore the child because you're feeling an emotion. It might not be that right time and where you have that safety. So make sure that it's safe for you and for other people. Other than that, it's incredibly important that you let your emotions come out, that you're feeling them, because like I said multiple times in this video and in other videos, feel it to heal it. Only if you let your emotions come out, you are making space for new experiences and new emotions. And that goes for positive and negative. I want to mention that before I come to the end of the video, because very often it's like people think it's just for the negative emotions where you have to feel it to heal it and then make space. It's the same for the positive. Me, for example, excuse me, I tend to suppress my positive emotions. I tend to be like very open, very vulnerable with my negative emotions, but with my positive emotions, I'm more closed off. And I had that experience last time when I went to a shiatsu massage. And the first time I went there, I was crying. Everything was fine. Like I didn't really overthink it. The second time I wanted to laugh because there was some kind of energy that wanted to be released, but I suppressed the laughing. I didn't let it out. And I reflected on that and I'm like, I have that oftentimes in my everyday life where I am suppressing positive emotions, believe it or not. But being aware of that, now I can look at it and be like, okay, where am I doing this? And then I can start changing it. So also with the positive emotions, if you suppress them, then there's space that's occupied. And if you want to experience more joy or more like the full spectrum of emotions, also the positive emotions need to be felt. Also, the positive emotions are awesome. They feel good. You deserve to feel good as well, so let it out. I'm taking that as a note for myself as well, of course, because I do find myself in situations on a regular basis where I'm like, why didn't I smile or laugh or whatever the emotion, the positive emotion is that I feel on the inside, but I don't let it on the outside. All right, that's it for today. Thank you for tuning in. If you like this, please leave a like, a comment, and share this video. And of course, if you have not yet subscribed, it would mean the world to me. And as always, lots of love and a big hug.